In this video, it is Holmes Mini CrawlMaster V3 plus Revolver motor outrunner going into the Vanquish Stance. I haven't used this setup before, so I'm excited to get it out of the box, get it installed. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Troy. This is Roadside RC. You'll tend to find me bashing or crawling or drifting or racing, plus doing product review videos and how-tos. Let's get this body off. Let's start getting that factory motor and ESC out. Good news, the ESC is easy enough because it had already partially fallen off for me. So it just unplugs. We're gonna need to snip this zip ties here and here to free up the different wiring and get these wires off that are gonna connect to the motor. Then we're gonna be coming in here and getting these covers off and start accessing all the different screws to get that motor out. We're gonna start with this 2.5mm driver on these two screws. That's a 2mm screw there on the bottom. Finish getting the transmission out. 1, 2, 3 more screws here from the top. Now that whole thing will slide up. Watch your drive shaft pieces, because these little parts will love to fall out while you do this. Which is fine, they can fall out, but you just need to make sure you don't lose them. Go ahead and unplug the servo wire while we're here too. Now this cover, it already comes off because we have already taken the screws out of it, so we can see the pinion and the spur gear here. We're going to take these two screws off, and then that motor should be able to come right out. Just barely fits with that pinion on it. And of course we're going to want to reuse that pinion. So again, with our 2mm wrench, we should be able to then loosen up that pinion. Should be able to slide it off, but you might need to use a little bit of extra persuasion. There it goes. Pinion's off. Now this whole factory electronic setup, we don't need it anymore. Give it to a buddy, do something with it. I'll put it in the free giveaway bin. Now we get to look at this Revolver motor. Oh, there we go. Look at that thing. Big old hefty outrunner. I did get the 1800 kV. I may regret that. I think I may want a higher kV. We'll just have to see once we get in here. Obviously, I could also up the pinion size as well if that's kind of an issue that I'm having and I want even more wheel speed. We'll just have to see. We'll see how it does once we get it in there. Looks like the wires are going to be plenty long for what we're going to need to do here. And they will just bolt right in, so we don't even have to do any soldering on the ESC. As we put the screws into the motor, you're going to want some thread locker. I'll leave a link to this down in the video description. This is some medium blue thread locker. It just keeps the screws from falling out on you on the trail anytime you have a metal screw into a metal, into a metal part. Proper gear mesh on there. Got the factory pinion right back on there. I think for me it's looking pretty good. Motor is installed in there, and wow, that looks so much dramatically smaller, doesn't it? Also note is that down here on the bottom, it barely clears this cover, so there's a good chance that if you're out rock crawling and something hits this, you may hear a little bit of a scrape, scrape, scrape sound. Don't immediately go wild. It's probably just that touching this bottom little skid plate, but I'm really glad it's there, because otherwise you'd be touching your motor every time, so that's a good thing. The ESC itself here is quite nice. Look at this little package that it comes in. Very compact little unit here. Outside to outside of the shrink wraps, 40mm by just under 30, so should be able to place this with some double-sided tape just about anywhere we want. Has the XT60 already on it, has the 3 leads that'll plug directly in for the motor. Has auxiliary power here, maybe if you're going to do like a direct power servo or something. And then this is your receiver wire, but then also comes with the little USB adapter, so for programming it via the software on the website. Very nice. Honestly, how these wires are coming out of this ESC, it's a little bit awkward. It doesn't quite make it to where it wants to fit on this little ESC plate here quite as well as maybe we would hope. So I think what I'm going to do is actually put it just down here on one of the side skids. It's not really going to be an issue. Battery goes on the other side. Lead will still reach over without an issue. Everything else, all the wires are plenty long. And then that will just sit there. Be nice, plenty of room. Just going to use some double-sided tape. If you need some, I'll have a link down in the video description. As I hook these wires up, I don't know which ones are which, but in a non-censored brushless setup like this, it doesn't matter. We're going to hook it up one way, and if it spins the wrong direction, then we're just going to reverse 2 of the wires. Alright, moment of truth. The controller's on. The truck is up on a stand because you never know with the first time you plug a new motor and ESC in. Alright, we have everything still works. Now, honestly speaking, I don't know what the ESC is doing right now. I have not done any level of calibration to the controller, haven't done anything like that. I didn't have to reverse anything. The motor spun just the direction I wanted it to. Everything like that seems fine. So maybe we'll get in later with that USB programmer to see what else is there. But as of right now, I just plugged it in and the thing worked. But I don't, 100% know how it's calibrated versus the controller and things like that. But let's go and give it a test drive. Now, I'm not taking the truck out to the hardest, most difficult obstacles on the course because that's not really what I'm looking for today. What I'm looking for is smoothness of throttle, torque, feel, how sensitive is the drag brake, how does it apply, that kind of thing is what I'm looking for. Well, that was pretty cool, actually. So, did about everything that I would want it to do. The factory motor in ESC, it didn't have a very good, like, low-speed control. It was very jerky. This, dramatically better low-speed control. You could see that, like, coming down that wood obstacle, just the ability to just absolutely creep it down and then stop, and then just gently reverse back up. So much better than the factory ESC and motor was, like not even a question. I will be curious about plugging it into the programmer or plugging it into the computer and getting online and seeing what other specs there are to tweak. So maybe that'll be a future video, but I'll be honest, plug it in, drive it. Thing seems pretty dang good just like that. Really surprised how good it is out of the box. No tweaks necessary whatsoever, no setup necessary. I was worried about the drag brake and the strength of the drag brake, so as an example, parked it, on the hill. Did it try to slide back down? Nope, it just held. That was also better than the factory drag brake. So yeah, this was good. This was a good upgrade for this truck. And I believe it now lets us put the shorty motor option in there, which moves some stuff around and maybe helps with weight distribution even more on this truck. So be on the lookout for that in a future video. If you're curious about these kind of things, I have a Vanquish Stance playlist that'll be popping up over here to your right, and you'll be able to see other stuff that I've done with this truck in that playlist. So thank you and goodbye.